everyone, today is our last official new lesson for math. Hooray! You guys have made it through third grade math. Way to go. We're going to start today by doing a warm-up where we break apart these numbers into two or more addends. So we're going to do some kind of addition, breaking it up into addition. So I'm going to grab my pen real quick, and I'm going to first break up 38 into 30 plus 8. Another way that we could break up 38 could be to do 30 plus 4 plus 4. See how it still equals 38? Let's go ahead and give it a try with 356. The most obvious way to break it up would be 300 plus 50 plus 6. But another way that you could break it up could be 200 plus 150 plus 6. See how that still equals 356? Let's go ahead and try 650. I'm going to do 600 plus 50, or I could do 300 plus 300 plus 50. All right. As you can tell, we're going to be using the break apart method here today to dive in a little bit deeper. I need you to make sure that you have your math journal open to page 286. We're going to be solving problem number 1 as our math message today. Go ahead and turn to page 286 in your math journal. Jonah's garden is a rectangle with 16 rows for plants. You can see that right here. He wants to plant 2 sections. So we're going to break apart this garden into 2 sections. One that has 10 rows of carrots and the other that has 6 rows of beans. So if this is kind of an example of what the garden looks like, if we need to have 10 rows of carrots and 6 rows of beans, are we going to be splitting this way or this way? Think about that, okay? Partition the rectangle and label the sections. So you're going to partition and label with carrots and beans to show how Jonah could plant his garden. Go ahead and do that right now. Please push pause and then push play when you're ready to check your work. All right, as you can tell, I have made sure that I have my 10 rows for carrots, and I'm going to check and make sure I have beans correctly. 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows for beans. Great. So now we're going to move on to problem number 2. Jonah can plant 9 seeds in each row. So if you look up at each row and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see 9 seeds in each row. How many seeds can he plant all together? So we need to figure out how many bean seeds he can plant and how many carrot seeds he can plant if he's able to plant 9 seeds in each row. You are going to be using the break apart strategy. So think rows times columns. We know that there are 6 rows of beans, and we know that there are 10 rows of carrots, and we know that there's 9 seeds in each row. Go ahead and work on this problem. Push pause and then push play when you're ready to check your work. All right, so first I'm going to focus on the carrots. I know that I have 10 rows, and there are 9 in each row. So for carrots, I'm going to get a total of 90 seeds. If I am doing for beans, I know that I have 6 rows and there are 9 seeds in each row. I know 6 times 9 equals 54 seeds. I also know that I have to figure it out all together. Remember, all together is going to mean we're going to add it all together. So if you add those all together, you should get a total of 4 goes here, and then 14 here, 100 44 seeds. And that's the number of seeds that can be planted in this entire garden of Jonah's garden. All right, now I would like for you to turn to page 287, so just right there, the next page. And we're going to practice the decomposing and partitioning or breaking apart in order to solve these problems. So here we go. Use the break apart strategy to solve the multiplication problems. Think of easier multiplication problems that you can break apart the larger factor into. Draw rectangles and write number sentences to show your thinking. So for this first one right here, I would go ahead and draw my rectangle, and I would label my shorter side with a 7 because we're talking about 7 and 24, and then my top part I would label with a 24. I need to be sure to break apart 24, and so I think the easiest way to break apart 24 is to draw a line like this and break this into 20 and this into 4. What that means is that we broke apart 24 into 20 and 4. I'm going to switch my pen color so you're able to see what we're going to be writing in there. Remember, rows times columns, so I would write in here 7 times 20, and I know that 7 times 2, see how this is building off of our other concepts? 7 times 2 equals 14, so 7 times 20 must equal 140. And then over here, we're doing 7 times 4, and we should know 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. And then over here, to show what we're doing, we're going to take 140 and 28, and we're going to put them back together. Because remember, we broke it apart, and so we get a total of 168. So this answer must go right up here, 168. All right, I'm going to go ahead and break apart the next one with you as well. First, we draw our rectangle, then we label, then we decide which factor we're going to break apart. I think I'm going to break apart 36 into, you guessed it, 30 and 6. So I'm going to label those. For in here, we're going to do 4 times 30 equals, and our answer would be 120 because we have that hidden multiplication fact in there that we know so well. And then we know 4 times 6, because that's a basic math fact, 24. Show our work over here of how to add them together. And then once you get your total, go ahead and write that in there. I'm not going to do the total for you right there. I am going to draw one last one, and then you can finish it up on your own. We're going to label 8 here and 57 here. And you guessed it, I'm going to break apart like this, 50 and 7. So I can break apart 57 into 50 and 7. And I want you to go ahead and solve the rest of that one on your own. We're also going to do the math boxes page. So if you'd like to finish this page before you go on to the math boxes, please push pause right now. I'm going to continue on and talk about the math box problems now. All right, we should be on page 288 in your math journal. And today, since it's the last day of math, normal math, we have, we're going to choose any two. So I'm going to write choose any two. So there are 5 here. You have to do, well, how many? 2 of them. So I want you to go through here and I want you to pick any 2 problems that you think that you would be able to do independently. There's some great problems on here as far as like measurement. There's problems on here as far as like the bird problems that we did earlier this week, and then some fraction problems and things like that. I will explain to you for number 3 the product pile up with those cards. Remember, that's the game that you guys played on Monday. And remember, the goal of product pile up is to create a bigger product. So you need to come up with a product of what cards could you play to make a product that would be bigger than the 6 times 6. So which cards, if these are the cards that you have, which cards could you use? Remember to choose any 2, and then you can go on to the home link. I'm going to go on to it right now. If you'd like to push pause to finish this page, go for it. All right, it's your last home link of the year. I can tell that you are devastated by that. Oh, is that your voice rejoicing? I think it is. All right, we're doing exactly what we just did in class. Here's the example. 3 times 28 equals 84. And what they did here is they did 2 different ways to break it apart. So you're going to use the break apart strategy to solve the multiplication problem. Draw and partition a rectangle. So I'm going to be looking for the exact kind of thing that we just did on page 287. And then it says record number sentences to show how you broke apart the factor. So when I look down here and down here, I should see something that looks like this, okay, with the picture, the number models, all that kind of stuff. So there are 2 different ways that they did. You just have to do one way for each of those problems. And then number 3, explain to someone at home how you did it. So just kind of talk it through with someone that can listen to you and sign your paper. All right, that's the last home link I have for you this year. And I know that you're going to do a great job on this lesson. Keep up the great work. Bye.